I knew early on, when I was a boy, that I would be a soldier. It was ingrained in me from the time I could walk, that I would hold the spear in gear to protect my body from oncoming forces. I fight for Cesare, and he fights for us in Roma. My brother and I would practice our battles on the countryside every afternoon. The girls would be around not too far so as to not be seen, but to see who would be the victor today. Our friends sometimes would join us. The Antonellis were our best friends. We trained long and hard until exhaustion. Our spears turned into swords. Learning the art of battling with shields and wearing chest plates. It is our life. One day, my mother spoke to us. My dear sons, I am so proud of you and for all that you do for training to become great warriors. Your father has trained all his life too and will be so proud when he sees how you have matured. I must tell you that as proud as I am also fearful for the wars and battles that you must fight. Welcome to the Earth Momma Living podcast. This is number 17. I am Jackie O with Earth Momma Living. I help connect you to your body so that you're able to move through blocks that have held you back from achieving optimal health and life pursuits. Using energetic healing, movement, sound, tarot, nutrition, journaling, and art therapies. Open up your mind about food and cooking, mental wellness, body movement, and holistic home living. Please tell your friends, share, and heart this episode, and we can grow together. Find me on earthmommaliving.com, Facebook, Instagram at earthmommalivingofficial, YouTube, Clapper, TikTok, Alignable, and Rumble. In today's show, I'm going to do some grounding, sound healing, and read one of the short stories I wrote during NaNoWriMo in 2021, which is the National Novel Writing Month. That happens in November of every year. And you just got a sampling of the beginning of that short story, which I will finish a little bit later. And I will continue work around my latest piece derived from the images I took while at Chichen Itsa in the Yucatan Peninsula about a month ago. And I will reveal to you the new masterclass I'm offering that will be a live Zoom event. So excited. That is almost ready to launch very, very, very soon, if not tonight. But before I begin, I'm going to offer you my insight around learning online or anywhere. My best words of advice about gathering information from anywhere is this. Please read and listen to information you find here and anywhere with discernment. And what I mean is look things up on your own to confirm what you need to know and understand. Feel free to ask me questions. Not everyone has the whole truth, but when I look through and see multiple sources that contain similar or exact information and it resonates with me, then I sit with that until further or different knowledge is gathered. Does that make sense? All right. Let's go here to my profile and double check. It's not showing me live there, so I'm concerned, but at the same time, I'm not surprised that it, again, is not working the way I was hoping. All right, so my mission statement is this. In all that I do, I believe in challenging the status quo. I believe in trusting our bodies to heal themselves. The way I challenge the status quo is by teaching clean living by what we eat, what we allow around us, and all that supports our bodies to heal themselves. Feel free to ask questions in the window here. So let's begin, why don't we? I'm Jackie O, the Earth Momma, and I help moms create a holistic lifestyle to help maximize their whole family's health without sacrificing time, flavor, or sanity. For those of you listening to the podcast on replay, I welcome you here in my healing space. Let's get into the sacred heart and soul space by doing a couple things. Sound, healing, and a couple readings for you. First thing is a quick grounding. I invite you to first take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it for 4 seconds. Here we go. And hold that and slowly let it out through your mouth. And as you breathe this in again, think about how much you have accomplished today. And even if it feels small, it isn't small because you are here on this earth for a reason. Breathing in deeply again. You are important. You have a very important role in this world. I promise you. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to finish reading the short story that I started at the beginning of the podcast. How many of you have written short stories from your past life experiences? I would love to talk to you because I do that, and it is really healing. She looked into our eyes and began to embrace us. Was she worried? Why did I have boys? She laughed and sighed heavily. Girls would not be put into such positions like war. I replied, "Oh, Mama, we'll make you so proud. We will slay the enemy with our heavy, grand swords. Father will return and see how we have followed his fearless path to victory for Roma." Our father had followed the path of becoming a great gladiator, and we haven't seen him very much during our childhood. He trained constantly and didn't do much else other than compete. We think Mother and Father met when she saw him compete and fell in love with how he fought his fierce and strong battles. She was the daughter of a noble statesman and would attend the Colosseo battles frequently, sitting with her parents. Julia often wore dark red robes with intricate embroidery and yellow flowers in her beautiful long black hair. We remember Father talking about how beautiful Mother was and still is. We certainly agreed that she is the most beautiful woman in the world. Marco hugged Mother tightly and told her we would be living a long soldier's life, earning our ranks and fighting for Roma. My brother was very brave and I loved him dearly. I hoped that we would join the same battalion so that I could keep an eye on my little brother. We received a letter the next week in our post notifying us of our assignments. Our captain would be accepting us into his legion. We celebrated with our mother that night, eating a tremendous amount of food. We ate meat and pasta with salads so delicious, red wine and breads to dip in garlic and olive oil. She cooked us all of our favorite foods. She would leave soon to continue our training. We would leave soon to continue our training, but with precise teachings. Our father would get word soon, we hoped. At the very least, he would know from afar that we were triumphant in our assignment. Mother began packing our necessary clothes, even though we didn't need her help. Marco was already 16, and I was 18. Mother argued over whether they would feed us enough and what clothes to bring. Mama, they will train us well and show us what we need. What do you think? They will let us walk around half naked? We rolled our eyes at each other, but kissed Mother's cheek. She worried too much, but she was a normal Roman mother who ruled a family and had a huge heart. We loved her for it. Ma, I know they will show us even how to mend our own clothing. When we are out in the field, we will have to make do with what we have. I bet they might even show us how to make our own shields. Caro mio, I love you so much, I know this, but I must still be your mama. She smiled so big and her face glowed with kindness and love. After Marco and I were finished packing our sacks, we knew then it was only a couple of days until we were to be training for the big battles we heard so much about. It wasn't far from Rome where we lived, and we were to leave first thing in the morning when the sun was coming up. We had our usual warm rolls with butter and our tea and sugar. Mama was going to be sure that our stomachs were full and ready to ride to our training camps. Mother had asked Francesco, her brother, to ready the horses the day before, just to be sure that there were no delays. Francesco rode with us so that he could bring back the carriage and horses, and I'm positive it was also so that Mama would be extra confident that we arrived safely. It was at least a day-long ride through the rolling hills in the countryside to where our captain rode for us to journey. I had forgotten how beautiful the green and lush the hills were outside of our city. As we meandered through the countryside with our horses, and we saw our families we knew coming out to the fence to cheer us on. I guess word had made its way to them that we were on our way to really becoming men. The Antonellis were outside, tending to their crops, and my first love, Laura, was walking through the rose gardens. She turned to see me and nodded. If I were closer, I could probably see her blushing. I waved, and Marco glared at me and punched me in the shoulder. Ouch, what did you do that for? I yelled and rubbed my arm. Marco replied, Don't lead her on again, my brother. Don't you remember? She was carrying a basket full of pink roses she had just cut. So beautiful that I couldn't take my eyes off her. Marco motioned to Laura's dad, who was standing with his hands on his hips and stood, shaking his head at me. I laughed as the carriage continued. I stood up and blew her a kiss anyway, despite all the resistance. Marco pulled me back down. I said, She still loves me. I was flooded with sunshine in my mind all of a sudden, felt the warmth of the sun as I were there again. As I sat back down to relax for our journey, I closed my eyes. Laura and I were laying in a field that was exploding with tall summer flowers that bloomed just for us. We lay down together and looked up at the sky, picking a couple flowers to mimic sword fighting and enjoyed their aroma. I want to rest with you here all day long, every day, my love, I said as I held her close to me. We breathed deeply and slept for a while. When will your father accept me? I love you, Laura. Ah, Stefano, I don't know the answer to your question. I love you too. What will we do? I held her face in my hands and just kissed her. The field was filled with the most golden flowers I had ever seen. I think we spent the whole day just mesmerized by the sunshine and how calm and quiet it could possibly be in a meadow. That day would be recorded in my memory forever, and I go back to it often, but it reminds me how much I loved this girl and how one day I would return to make her my bride. I awoke from sleeping as Francesca was slowing our carriage because we were approaching the camp. Numerous tents were set up in a logical and orderly manner, soldiers putting kettles in their fires, carrying their bags into the tents, not even noticing that we were approaching. Francesco got off the carriage and helped us unload our bags. He gave us huge hugs and said, You'll make your mama and papa proud. I know it. They already are. Your father will receive the news that you have joined the soldiers and are training. Fantastic. I will miss you. Please write when you can, but we understand that it could get impossible. He mounted the carriage again and turned the horses to return to Rome, waving as he could see us. I looked at Marco and nodded. We made it. Let's go find our captain. We had trained many years already in our mindset that we would be soldiers. We were proud and yet nervous at the same time. We didn't talk about that, though. I think we just knew how each other felt. We began with the rigorous and strenuous training the following morning. Our tents were all set up, very simple and all the basics covered. We each shared a tent with another soldier, 2 cots, 2 kettles, and a box each to store our rations and personal effects. And I knew where Marco would be too. I had it in my mind that I would write to Laura every week. I didn't even care if her father would try to confiscate the letters. I would still try. Who knew even exactly why he didn't approve of me to court her? It kept my heart alive to think that she would be receiving my love in my words, even though I didn't know if I could actually make it back home. And of course, I would write to my parents as well. Was it folly to think that I could actually write while I was in the Legion? I had to try to keep it as a focus in my mind. Yes, I would do this, and it will help me focus on my training. 12 hours a day of grueling labor, sword fighting, and hand-to-hand combat. We ate 2 meals and slept when we could. We were so grateful for the streams where we could soothe our wounds from training. And that is the the end of the first short story that I have around that past life. There's a lot more to it, for sure. And I would love to share that with you all. So I would like to share a little bit around the continuation of this drawing. And I would love to continue. If you are on any of my social media apps, you will see that there is a time-lapse version of the recent progress that I've made. So you might want to catch up on that. And let's take a look here. Okay, so I'm actually in the process of thickening up the lines on this side. I am doing see how on this side I've thickened up some of the lines. It gives some dimension. It also, well, that's the main thing, is it gives it dimension so that while looking at it, it feels like it's a carving in the stone, like the original that I found to be in Chichen Itza. So in the comments for whenever you do see this on the replay, I would love to hear from you what questions you might have or any impressions that you have from the work that I'm doing. And what I can do is I can also add music to this so that you're not just sitting here. That's the other thing is, since it's not looking like it's going live, I am not getting the interactivity that I wanted to have, but that's okay. You know, I'm just getting going on bringing to you what I do in the time that I have. The reason that I do this, by the way, not only because I feel compelled to it, the other night before I started this, I felt like I was actually pacing, like it needed to be expressed. And then some of the right in here, some of this was actually bringing to me sounds. I was hearing some of the light language type of sounds that you might experience when you're listening to light language, but connecting the visual with the sound is pretty powerful, and that's definitely new for me. It hasn't been like that before for me. And so another reason that it helps me is I just learned this, that in our past lives, we have left clues for ourselves in the future, whether it's people that we need to connect to, or here, for example, me going back to a place in the world where I perhaps had a past life, perhaps had some Mayan lifetimes. I'm not positive. I haven't done a past life regression on the Mayan timeline, but sometimes it's not even necessary. I've had dreams that have actually triggered memories for past life stuff. And one that I haven't even written about or talked about in a very long time, I remembered last night, which was, I was remembering, so in a dream, I was having this whole experience of it was in the 1940s in the United States, and I was seeing my clothes, that I could see what I was wearing, and that's the only way that I actually could tell that it was the 1940s, because of the style of dress. And so I don't know exactly what the point of that past life was to be remembering it, but it almost was like a remembrance of, hey, you were here, I was here, and some stuff happened, and might need to revisit this later. And it is actually very soothing and healing to think about these things. and what it might mean to us in this day. So, what else? And as I start to fill in some of these details, it'll just start evolving some more. Also, I was able to see some of the original color, which I cannot even believe that some of the original stonework in Chichen Itza has some of the original color that was originally painted onto these stones. And from what I can remember, it was because I don't know if it came out very well in the photographs, but there were like terracotta oranges and reds and browns from what I remember, and perhaps some lighter yellows. I'm gonna have to double check this before I that's what I was going to put into this drawing, by the way, this painting. As I turn it into a color image, I will be using the original colors from that timeline. Only makes sense, right? Just for me. Other people might do their own interpretation entirely, but I like to keep the same essence from where it came from originally, but I'm adding my own flavor to it, which is my coating. And perhaps as I finish this piece, it might tell me what it is trying to tell me, as opposed to me saying, I have no idea what this means, which is oftentimes, or I have a general feeling about it, but this is a very strong piece for me. And yeah, and by the way, all of these pieces that I have are for sale. Or whether or not also I am going to be gifting any of them. I actually have 2 pieces that are going to be gifted. They've already been spoken for, but there are always prints on my Fine Art America website. So I encourage you to go check that out. If you go to earthmommaliving.com, everything is linked on there. I have a whole page on my website at earthmommaliving.com that has not only my Earth Mama Living's gear. Earth Mama Living, it's a whole section for Fine Art America. It's embedded in my website. I also have all my original prints, all my original paintings also for sale. And so they will all be framed. I've made a change recently that I've decided I'm just going to send them to you framed, ready to hang. I think it's a great idea. I've seen some other artists do this and I like that. So makes sense. Might as well send it off, ready to be loved and cherished on your wall as soon as you get it. So for now, I got some done today, but the main thing is expressing to you. Hold on, let me do a little bit more in here. For those of you on the audio only version, I'm just adding some more code in here. It just seems like it wants to come out. And so I'm doing that right now. Right, almost complete with this section. Ah, yes, that's better. Okay. That's enough for today for the drawing. And what I want to do is just simply welcome again your comments and your requests for, of course, any other episodes that you'd like to see me do or talk about. I also please encourage, if you have done short stories around past lives, please let me know, because I would love to hear from you. And moms, please, especially moms with kids, I'm going to be doing a masterclass that's about how to reach and understand yourself through drawing. Even if you're not an artist, I highly encourage you. It's a free masterclass. It's coming up the end of June, and I have a link coming up very soon that you can click on so you can register, and it's an hour and a half, and I don't want anyone to miss it who wants to be attending, because then you could always ask questions during the live event. You will get a recording afterwards, of course, as well. So, and one last thing to know is to save the date for September 28th through October 1st. It is a retreat in Sedona with me and a private chef who, by the way, teaches Zumba as well. She is a whole foods, plant-based, gluten-free chef. And oh my God, we're going to have those amazing time. And that link also will be available very, very soon. But I highly encourage you to definitely DM me about it if you have interest in that. It is 4 days, and you will be with a small group of moms with kids. And you're welcome to come even if you don't have your daughter. So, all right, I welcome your comments. Again, blessed souls, please, I send my love to you, and I wish you the best of energy healing journeys. And the last word from me is I encourage each of you to look within to know that you can and do absolutely, without a doubt, heal yourself in every moment of every day. With this, you can overcome anything. Namaste, my friends, sending much love, and I'll talk to you very soon.